Okay. And we have a panel of 4 foundations who offer financial grants to patients in need. And that is Sarcoma Alliance, Sarcoma Foundation of America, Lazarex Cancer Foundation, and Northwest Sarcoma Foundation. So welcome, everybody. I want to remind people to stay muted during the presentation, but we will have 5 minutes after the speakers talk for questions and answers. You could put it in the chat box, or at that time unmute yourself and just ask directly. And so while I fiddle around with some slides, let's start with Sarcoma Alliance. Please introduce yourself, and I'll get your slides up here.
Thank you very much, Sharon. Good to see you all. My name is Philip Leiter. I'm the president of the board of directors of the Sarcoma Alliance, and I'm the brother of the founders, Suzanne Leiter.
And I'm Joan Darling, and I'm on the board, and I've been working with the Assistance Fund for a good number of years. So I should be able to answer most of your questions, I hope.
If she can't, nobody can.
Okay, and I'm looking for your files here. Just 1 second. I don't know why I can't see them. Okay, I'm going to try something else. Let's see. Share screen. Gee, maybe we should start with questions and answers while I fiddle around.
Well, we could talk about it without the slides.
Well, go ahead while I find the slides. I don't know why I can't locate them here. But Go ahead, you can start.
Okay. So my sister Suzanne founded the Sarcoma Alliance in 1999. And our core mission has always been to guide, educate, and support people with sarcoma. We also help their family and their caregivers and their friends as well, but our core focus has been on the patient. When Suzanne died in 2002, my family started the Suzanne Renee Leiter Memorial Hand in Hand Assistance Fund, which continues to this day and has grown and helped a lot of folks. And I'm going to introduce, she's already introduced herself, Joan Darling. She runs this central program of our organization. She's been a board member. She's a past president. And her daughter, Allison, is also a sarcoma survivor. And she'll tell you more about the mechanics and the purpose, basically, of the Assistance Fund. Take it away, Joan.
Thanks, Philip. Can we advance it to past the several? I don't know if I can advance it or if you have to.
I think I have to here.
Okay. Yes, so there's our mission. Philip described that. And one of the important things for us is to make sure that people get accurate diagnosis, especially since there are so many sarcoma subtypes, and to have improved access to care. And that means care from people who understand sarcomas, which is one of the reasons we have the Assistance Fund. Can you forward it again? So as Philip said, this is our Assistance Fund. We have Suzanne Leiter's goal was to try to make sure that nobody was financially constrained to getting a second opinion. Next slide. So what is the Hand in Hand Assistance Fund? And I have to say that this is particularly important to me because my daughter is a 26-year survivor of alveolar rhabdomyolyar sarcoma, and we got a second opinion from experts, and we had different surgeon, changed chemotherapy, and had radiation at a different institute because of that. So we give grants to reimburse out-of-pocket costs for seeking second opinions from sarcoma experts. And this includes a number of different types of expenses: travel, lodging, meals, and co-pays that are not covered by insurance. And we do not have any kind of ability to pay tests. Anybody can get the grants. We reimburse expenses for one adult patient, or if the patient is a minor, we'll reimburse expenses for 2 people. There are certain limits to the expenses. These change from year to year, but at the moment, we have limits for certain types of expenses, and we are giving up to $1,000. We do not pay for treatment expenses. Next slide. So why is it important? Well, there's been a lot of research that shows that outcomes are better when sarcoma experts are involved in treatment. So getting somebody who knows sarcomas really
I wanted
well.
to say hi
very-
real quick.
Yes.
There's this webinar
The
going
resource
on
for sarcoma
I'm
patients.
going to interrupt you for a minute.
That
I'm
is
going to have
awesome.
to mute everybody.
So I'm like all
Then I
dialed in for a
can,
few
or maybe
minutes.
Susan.
I want to get kind of how
There we go. I'll mute all.
and then I'll join you.
Yeah, can you?
And now you have to mute yourself back. Unmute yourself.
Okay.
Joan. There you
There.
go.
So a second opinion is important because research shows that people do better when sarcoma experts are involved. And there's several reasons for that. Sarcoma Alliance centers are more likely to have multidisciplinary teams that can deal with all the aspects of treating a sarcoma. They can give you a full picture of a sarcoma second opinion, what you should be to get optimal treatment. Sometimes a second pathology opinion is really important because research has shown that up to 1 in every 5 sarcoma diagnoses is changed after a second opinion, either in terms of the subtype, the grade, or the stage of the cancer. And the more and more that is known about the subtypes and the larger number of subtypes and how the genetics of them is important, not just the pathology, this becomes really an important thing to do. So you can change diagnosis. The experts will know the specific treatments and options for treatment that are best for that subtype. And then surgery is an important part of almost every sarcoma treatment, and specialty surgeons who know what they're doing and have done this on sarcomas before, are much more likely to have cancer successfully removed with clean margins and have additional treatments that sometimes can be done interoperatively than would other ones. So that's one of the, I mean, there are other reasons too, but these are the main ones. There's basically everything about a treatment that can be better at with sarcoma experts involved. Next slide. So how do you find out more about the Sarcoma Alliance Hand-in-Hand Assistance Fund? Well, basically visit our website. There is information on there. Second opinion grants, our basic website is sarcomaalliance.org, so it's easy to remember. You can look up the information for second opinion grants. You can look, we have a list of sarcoma centers that will be places where you can get that multidisciplinary second opinions. And then we have other information about sarcoma guidance support and educational information, including a lot of other financial support systems. And then finally, you can ask your sarcoma healthcare provider about the assistance fund. They may be able to tell you more about it, maybe even point you in the direction. We have both paper application materials and online application materials for whatever is more convenient for you. That's pretty much it.
Okay, let's take questions. Anybody want to unmute themselves or write their questions in the chat? We'll be happy to answer them. Let's see what we have in there. We have audio difficulty. Let's see. Anybody have questions about the hand-in-hand program through Sarcoma Alliance? You did a very good job. That's why they don't have any questions. Oh, what is the turnaround time?
We ask for applications to be submitted quarterly. So we have four times a year that we pay for, we provide the grants. So for example, the last quarter would have been ended December 31st, and the checks would go out in January. So that's the way that works. That way we have volunteers who do the review of the documents, and it makes it easier for them if everything is sort of put together and handled in a package, and then we can get the checks out that way.
Great, thank you. So Vicki asked, thank you so much. My sister got a second opinion sarcoma grant. It was very much appreciated, and it helped with her less stress over financial while fighting LMS. So that's kudos to you.
I'm very glad to hear that. So
yeah, and I've known people too that it made a huge difference.
Well, overall we've given out about 1,000 grants. We've given out about 1,000 grants over the years, and about $500,000. So we're, this is the key. And Philip would say this was, Suzanne Leiter's dream to have everybody get, and the more people that we do, the happier we are. So
our true dream, which probably rarely happens, is that first time that somebody takes a biopsy that you're actually with a sarcoma provider at that point. It's very rare that somebody knows they need to have a sarcoma provider, like, do a biopsy to see what it actually is. But so many times we've heard this story where somebody, just a general surgeon or somebody, has taken out this mass, they don't know what it is, and they've seeded all these cells that metastasize. And so it's really important to tell somebody, if it's even possibly a sarcoma, that they take very wide margins so they don't leave any cells there where they do the original surgery.
Absolutely. Well, Julie has a question. Other than copay, if a second opinion is out of pocket, oh, it jumped, and I am charged the full office visit that my insurance won't cover, is that grant eligible?
yes, but again, only up to our maximum amount. So I know that it can be very expensive to get second opinions when it's out of the system and your insurance won't cover it. We will give up to $1,000, but that, I mean, whatever it is a copay. So that's not covered by insurance.
Okay, great. Any other questions for Joan or Philip? Let's see. Are these grants reimbursement based, or
Yes.
are the expenses reimbursed in addition to the grant?
So it's a post-treatment reimbursement system. So we ask you to provide receipts and confirmation from your physician that you had the treatment, and then you reimburse the expenses. We don't provide money up front.
Okay,
Thank
great.
you.
Oh, I do want to mention that we do have one restriction that we can send grants only to US addresses because of certain regulatory issues. But we have managed to give grants to people from other countries who have relatives or something like that in the US. And
Oh, that's clever. Yeah, great. So that's good. I know we have a lot of people in our Facebook group that come to the US for second opinions. So good. Okay, I don't see any more questions in the chat box.
I do have a question. I'm sorry.
ahead.
My wife, she was treated here in Kaiser in Oregon, and then now we're looking for a second opinion in Seattle, the Fred Hodge.
Mhm.
And if we have all the expenses for,
Oh, I
Right,
think you
just-
muted yourself.
Well, I think, yes, any expenses, you can fill out an application form and send the copies of the receipts to us. So there needs to be information from your second opinion physician as well. So that way we're sure that you've actually gotten the second opinion from somebody who is a sarcoma expert or at a sarcoma center.
Okay, any more questions?
I typed a question, but I didn't get an answer. I typed it 2 different times.
Is it the question about Agent Orange?
Yes.
So that's not really what this webinar is about. It's about the foundations and the financial grants they have, but I can answer it. There's no known connection between sarcoma and Agent Orange that we know of. Maybe Philip could, or Joan or Susie, if you have a second opinion on that, I don't know, but so
yes, there is a connection between sarcoma, soft tissue sarcoma, and Agent Orange. And tomorrow I'll be posting an article.
oh, okay, I stand corrected.
And
Okay.
it is covered as one of the VA has it listed as one of the disease, soft tissue sarcomas, not bone sarcomas. So.
Okay.
Well, my husband has pancreatic sarcoma, and the VA has rejected his claim, saying it's not caused by Agent Orange. So we need to appeal, and we need some kind of, backup for the appeal.
Yeah, you should look on the VA's website. They have that themselves as one of the cancers that is that's covered by it. Also, was that in Vietnam that you were exposed? Yeah. And then also the recent burn pit legislation also includes sarcomas as one of the, in fact, one of our board members is a veteran who possibly got her sarcoma through exposure to burn.
The surgeon told me it was definitely caused by Agent Orange in Vietnam. So
Okay, I'm going to come back to our financial grant question. We have one here from Isabel. How far back can we be considered? I assume for reimbursement.
Even if it's the previous year or previous years, if you knew about it and can get the information and the receipts and the physician's approval, again, just for the second opinion, not for treatment. And we will do one per year per person. So in other words, if you got a second opinion for a first diagnosis and then relapsed 2 years later or something and went for another second opinion, then we would pay for that to the same person too. So.
Okay, great. Well, thank you very much. It sounds like a wonderful program. I know we have a lot of members who have benefited from it. So thank you so much for all that you do.
And thank you for setting this up.
Yes, and I am now going to go to Brandy with Sarcoma Foundation of America and see if I can pull up her screen, her slides, which I think is right here. Can you see that?
I just have one slide. Good evening, everyone. I'm excited to be here to share this information with everybody tonight. We are, for those of you who aren't familiar with the Sarcoma Foundation of America, I'm not going to go too deep into it, but SFA has been around for over 20 years. We fund sarcoma research. We actually advocate on behalf of sarcoma patients, and we also do education and assist patients. And one of the things that we are very happy to share is that we have recently launched the Jordan's Dream Fund for Clinical Trials at SFA. One thing that we think about a lot at SFA is we're not going to get therapies to the market without clinical trials. And getting patients in clinical trials, number one, is what is the path to getting treatments to the clinic. And in addition to that, especially in sarcoma, we find many patients end up in clinical trials as part of their treatment because we lack treatment options. So for us, this was a really important program to offer. And we are working with Jordan's Dream Fund. They lost their son, Jordan, to sarcoma at the age of 26. And so we're partnering with them to offer this program. And we're very excited. The program pays for direct expenses related to participation in clinical trials up to $5,000. And the $5,000 can be renewed. And we do give out the grants. I'm trying to think of all the questions we just had so I can answer those as well. We do give out the grants quarterly. We actually just launched this program last year. We have funded our first patients. Some you do have to have already been accepted into or already participating in a trial. There's a part of the application where someone from the trial has to fill out the information. It is not reimbursement based. When people fill out the application, we look at the grant amount that's requested. So for example, grants that we've already received, some people ask for the full 5,000 depending on what their situation is. And some just ask to be supplemented for maybe transportation or things like that. So you can receive up to the full 5,000 or people can receive less than that. It just depends on what the request is. And the application that it's filled out, we look at the expenses needed. So for example, also what we know in sarcoma is that we do encourage people to get to sarcoma centers for their treatment, which we know is extraordinarily important. It's really difficult for patients. There's a lot of barriers to that. And some people need to travel further than others. Some people have different situations than others. And so we want to be open to all different situations that people find themselves in. We do ask for some financial information. We do take that into consideration when we fund the grants, but it's not the deciding factor. It's really kind of based on need as well, in terms of where does the patient have to travel to, how often do they have to travel, how far do they have to travel, all those types of things that we consider when we're thinking about this program. So there is an agreement that the participants have to sign once they are selected, but then we just give the grant funding. Once we've awarded the grant, we just give the grant funding. Like I said, we tried to make it, we wanted to make it not as burdensome on the patient, and also, quite honestly, on us in terms of the reimbursement side of things and that nature. So we just determine the amount of the grant, and then we give out the grant to the patient. So we are currently right now accepting applications. They can be accepted online. You can also email us at clinicaltrials@curesarcoma for any information, or if you need a paper application sent to you. We do have, it's on our website. You can fill it out right on our website if you need to. We have gotten a lot of applications from sarcoma centers directly. So working with the sarcoma center, they are very well versed in the application and have already started sending them in. Some are more frequently, send them in more frequently than others, but we are getting them from all over. So again, we're really excited to launch this program. We think it's very, very important, as I said, for getting patients into clinical trials, to be able to move these treatments to the market, and also for patients that for our lack of treatment options, their participation in clinical trials is very important. And since patients have to travel to sarcoma centers, oftentimes very long distances, and there are a lot of barriers to that we're trying to overcome. So if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them about our fund.
Okay. Yeah, I was thrilled when Sarcoma Foundation of America got this fund. I was like, yes, there's a very big need for that.
It's a really big need, and it's something, you know, especially with SFA, you know, we fund research. The through line to funding research is getting therapies to the market, right? That's what we need to do. We need to get better therapies to patients. And so it's something that's really important to us as an organization. So we're thrilled that we were able to do it. We're thrilled that we've actually already started to fund patients with this, and we actually anticipate this to grow. So so we're excited. We're very excited.
Okay. Any questions? No? See, again, you did a good job presenting, so there's nothing to be left.
I have my wife, sorry, this is Federico. We're in Oregon, and my wife, she was treated at Kaiser, but now we're applying for a clinical trial in Seattle in the Fred Hutch. So if she's approved and all that, we will need like housing and food and, you know, some help, financial assistance for that. What is a good time to apply for the help? Because I would like to be prepared ahead of time if possible.
I love the little head popping in there, by the way. It was very
Yeah, thanks.
I would say to go ahead and apply now. If you don't have to be actively in the trial. You can have already been accepted, maybe not have started treatment. You can go ahead and apply, and we will go ahead and start funding that. So we do fund before the trial actually starts. It doesn't have to be after. You can be in the middle of it. So you can go ahead and apply now.
good news, huh? Okay. She whispered something. I don't know what. Any other questions? Okay, no other questions. And Brandy, how do they get hold of you if they have more questions?
So you can email clinicaltrials@curesarcoma.org, or you can go to our website, curesarcoma.org. It's actually on our website as well, and you can access the application right from our website.
Okay, great. Thank you. Dion?
Yes, I have a question. It's not maybe relevant right here. and let me know if there's another way to ask it or another forum. This is not about financing clinical trials, but I'm having trouble researching clinical trials and finding which ones are relevant for my husband. And I know there's clinicaltrials.gov. I know leiomyosarcoma has a tracker, but it's really been hard to find out what the eligibility criteria are and which ones would fit and so forth. Is there a good way to do that? But as I say, that might not be for this forum.
Well, it's
Actually,
a good question because
Yeah, actually, I can
we can't
answer
get
that.
into it. Okay, good, Brandy.
Yeah, so what we're building on our website is actually information about all the clinical trials that are out there. But what we do have is patients will reach out to us directly with that exact same question. And we will actually do research for them or reach out to our medical advisory board in terms of clinical trials that might be available to them. And where they might be able to go. So I think other groups probably do that as well, but I know we do that quite often for patients.
And how would I access that? Can you?
If you just email clinical trials and just email, what your need is. We go from there with that. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much. That's really helpful.
Maybe Brandy, you could put that in the chat box. Who to contact or how to contact people.
Okay.
That would be helpful and people can copy it from the chat box.
Okay.
Okay. And any other questions? No? Okay. Somebody asked me if I can make the slides bigger. I can't. I think it's on your end. You have to look at your the views that you're offered. And is Dana and Erin Miller here?
Yes.
Okay, here we go. Would you like to introduce yourselves, please?
Hello, I'm Erin Miller. I'm the development manager for Lazarex Cancer Foundation. And Lazarex is not a sarcoma specific organization. We are pan-cancer. And I'm just going to give you a really quick history, and then I'll talk about our programs and the resources that are available to you through Lazarex. So Lazarex was created in 2006 after a pancreatic cancer diagnosis of my husband, Mike, at 44 years old. And just based on the barriers that we faced trying to find a clinical trial, which was really difficult, especially back then. And then also getting to our clinical trial, my husband was not willing to cash in every little bit of our savings account that we had on a hope that he might survive and leave us with nothing. So we were fortunate in that my family kind of rallied around us and tag teamed my 3 small children and helped us with the finances to get back and forth to our trial. But it was not lost on me how fortunate I was that I had a family that could support us, and how difficult it must be for people who don't have that kind of support to find and get to clinical trials. So you can advance a couple slides if you would.
Okay, tell me when to stop.
Number 3 is perfect.
Number 3, okay.
So these are the barriers that we address: lack of knowledge, financial constraint, support network interruption, socioeconomic issues, cultural and language barriers, and of course, historical trust barriers. You can go to the next slide, please.
Oh, that's not the right slide. Hang on. How did I get in there?
You did. This was right. Now you can just go to number 4. And there is the information about our programs.
Okay. Now I'm in Sarcoma Alliances. It's always something, right?
No worries. No worries at all.
We're back.
So, as you can imagine, our original program is our Lazarex Care program, creating access, reimbursing expenses. And that is our original program that came about from my cancer journey with my husband. So through the care program, we help patients find their clinical trial options. So we do have a clinical trial navigator. We do about 150 navigations for patients per year.
There you go, Diane.
Now you have options. But as I mentioned, we are not sarcoma specific. So just remember that. But we have lots and lots of sarcoma patients on our roster that we support. And through the CARE program, we do monthly reimbursement of travel expenses for patients to get to clinical trials all over the United States. We actually are helping, I believe it's 17 patients right now that are international patients. Once they come to the US for their trial and they're on US soil, we'll reimburse their expenses. Last year alone, we saw a 94% increase in patient applications to this program. Post-COVID, when people weren't getting their screening and the kind of care that they would normally get, I think there was just a huge burst of later diagnoses for cancer. And we went from helping 1,238 patients in 2021 to helping over 2,000 in 2022. And as the development manager, believe me, it brought me to my knees.
Yes. Oh, yes.
But we got it done. We didn't have to put a waiting list in place or anything like that. So, so that was excellent. And so we do monthly reimbursement for expenses. There is a financial qualification, and it is up to 7 times poverty level. So it's a really generous scale. And we do as well have agreements with each patient, so they know exactly what's expected of them. They have to turn in their travel log and receipts monthly, and then they're reimbursed every single month for as long as they're in a trial. And believe me, we have patients that were given months to live, and 10 years later, we're still reimbursing them every single month. So those are the stories that we love, and they really, really do become part of our family. So then we have our impact program, which was more of a site-based program where we can offer equitable access to clinical trials at any given site. We have done that at USC Norris and UCSF Helen Diller here out in the Bay. We're now at MD Anderson and Penn Abramson and UTSW Simmons Comprehensive Cancer Center, and 6 US oncology sites now with our impact program.
What does equitable access mean?
Equitable access means that if you are a patient at that site and you are considering a clinical trial, that you are informed of the reimbursement program before, so that you can remove the financial concern of getting there when you make your decision.
Nice.
So impact is a site-based program, same thing, monthly reimbursement. Then all of our 17 years worth of experience in reimbursing and clinical trials, we really learned that in order to move the needle on diversity in clinical trials, that we needed to start at the beginning of the cancer care continuum. So we have this Cancer Wellness Hub program currently in 3 communities. We have at Los Angeles, up here in the Bay Area, and in the Promise Zones of West Philadelphia. We are in the communities. We are located there. We hire people from within the communities as liaisons to the program. We offer everything from information through free screening and genomic sequencing, through helping people find their medical homes so they can be referred out for screenings, any type of diagnostics, standard of care, through clinical trials and survivorship. So this is a huge program. We collaborate with hundreds of other patient advocacy organizations to really weave a basket for patients of support at wherever they are. We meet them where they are, get them what they need to improve their journey and hopefully their outcome. So we are always willing to work with organizations in that respect, whether it's a speaker series or support group, or it's a combination of both in person and online. So we're always looking for ideas and places to refer patients for resources. So you can refer your patients to us and we'll refer them back to you.
Okay. Sounds very comprehensive. Do you want me to go to the next slide?
Yep, you can go.
Okay.
You can go down to the next one.
Right, let me find that one.
I tend to talk way past my slides. Keep on going.
Okay.
This is just a little data comparing our care program to our impact program, our site-based program. We had, after 3-year pilot study at UCSF and USC with close to 500 patients, we had 63% minority participation in our impact program, 23% minority participation in our care program. The difference is the impact patients are already at a site. The care patients find us either on the internet or a referral from over 250 oncology organizations throughout the country. You can go to the next one.
Household income data.
Yeah, of those impact patients, 52% of them came from households with incomes less than $25,000. And I mention that only because these are clearly people that would not have been able to participate and afford even the gas tolls and parking, most likely, to get to their clinical trial treatments. You can go to the next slide. And this is more about our Lazarex Cancer Wellness Hub. As I mentioned, we bring our hub to other community organizations. Oftentimes, these organizations have been within the communities for years, decades, around the social determinants of health. And we're adding a cancer aspect to what they do so well. And so you can move to the next one. And this is just kind of how all of our programs work together. It starts off in the community. There are people with questions. If they're in a Cancer Wellness Hub zone, then they're introduced to the Cancer Wellness Hub and a cancer care companion who will hold their hand throughout their cancer journey and help them get the resources that they need, refer them out to medical facilities as needed. And then if there is a need for clinical trial, they're referred back to Lazarex, where we can help them find a trial and then do the monthly reimbursements so that they can get where they need to be when they need to be there.
Great. Okay.
Any questions?
Let me stop the share.
I have another question, sorry. So I'm just thrilled to find that these organizations will help you try to locate clinical trials, but I don't want to duplicate. I don't want to burden one organization. I mean, how do I choose which organization to approach?
Okay, well, I'm going to just jump in and say that I think because you're looking for a sarcoma trial in particular, that in my opinion, I would probably go to the sarcoma organization because I feel like you have a better handle on what clinical trials are out there. But certainly use this as a backup, or, we're happy to help in any way.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? You can also write them in the chat box if you're shy.
I have a comment.
Okay.
I have to say how impressed I am listening to this at the fundraising capacity that these organizations have. It's astonishing the amount of money that you're able to raise and the amount of expertise and effort that must go into doing that. It's really mind-boggling.
Thank you. It's
yes, so we could do
a labor of love.
Yeah, we could do a pitch if anybody has won the lottery, please see one of these organizations. Help your fellow patient here. Okay, so I think that's it. Any going once, going twice, going 3 times? Okay, and now I'm going to turn it over to Joe McNeil, who is with Northwest Sarcoma Foundation. So wait, Joe, I think you need to unmute.
Okay, I unmuted twice. Okay, there we go. So good evening, everyone. I'm Joe McNeil with the Northwest Sarcoma Foundation. The organization is the oldest sarcoma foundation in the US, and we're thrilled that we've been going strong for 27 years this year. We have what's called a Helps Patient program, and I don't know, am I able to share my screen yet?
Yes, you can.
Okay, hang on a moment here. That. Let me go to this. And hopefully everybody can see that now.
I see it says you started screen sharing, but I don't see anything up. Wait a minute.
Oh. All right, well, let's
It's a black screen.
interesting. All right, well, I
But
will
it says
just,
you are viewing Joe McNeil's screen.
interesting. Okay, well, let's see.
There you go. We see it.
Okay, there we go.
Now we don't. Where'd she go? Joe, you're muted again.
All right, we're good. As we said, technical difficulties, correct?
Yes.
So I'll just go for it. So our
Okay.
foundation grants are $250 every roughly 6 months, as long as you are still in treatment and meet the financial requirements. And treatment is also based on region, because we are a Pacific Northwest regional organization. So that's Alaska, Idaho, Montana, Oregon, and Washington. As I said, the grants are $250 with an opportunity to do another $250 if you're still in treatment. And that's roughly every 6 months, up to $500 a year. And then up to $1,500 in a lifetime. These grants must be requested by a social worker, patient navigator, nurse, or physician. So if you find yourself at one of the treatment centers in our area, or you live in our area and are seeking treatment outside, even if you live in our area, it's the same thing. Make sure you inquire with your social worker, your patient navigator, so on and so forth, to have them ask about receiving a grant. That's how ours works. It's we are very lucky that we're able to do this, as I said, because we're a smaller organization on a regional level. So, and if anybody has any questions, I think I answered all the ones that I've heard in the past, but we'll see what we come up with also.
I have a question. So are your grants specific for treatment or clinical trials or second opinions, or?
Ours are all of the above. You could actually use ours to buy Christmas presents if you had to.
I love it.
Ours are based on the fact that patients have a financial need up and above reimbursement for travel and things like that. Majority, we do know, use it for travel and housing expenses, because we ask that on a survey, and when we get that information back, that's what the majority of people do use it for. But we have people who use it for other things, and there are other needs that we know exist.
Okay, any other questions? So Susie wrote something in the chat box that LMSDR lists clinical trials for people in the newsletter. Yes, we do. And we will, on our Facebook page, make announcements of new trials or even updates of trials to keep people informed. If you have leiomyosarcoma, please join our Facebook group. Okay, back to Northwest Sarcoma. Any other questions? Okay, this looks great. I want to thank our panel. So thank you to Sarcoma Alliance and Sarcoma Foundation of America and Northwest Sarcoma and Lazarex Cancer Foundation. Together we can help a lot of people, and I'm just thrilled you were willing to take your time today and be with us here and share what you have to offer. So with that, I'm going to say goodbye and thank you very much.
Thank you, Sharon.
Thank you so much for having us. Thank
Bye,
you.
everybody.